Here we go. So chapter 11 is all about polygons. Guys, remind us, what does poly stand for? You're getting it. Many. What does gon stand for? Side. So many-sided shapes. Now in your heading, top of your notes, guys, will you draw a big arrow to this word and this word? Interior, exterior. We know the differences between the two, right? It's all about angles on the inside, all about angles on the outside. And you're going to have formulas depending on which one we're looking at, whether we're looking at interior or exterior. So again, it's all about the formula. First two formulas are these ones. Copy them down, and then we'll talk about them. Okay, the first one, you've got to know what you use that first one for. So let's do the same thing. Let's draw hint arrows right here. This one, first hint, sum. Guys, what does sum stand for? Add, plus, addition. Yes, yes, yes. So this is if you're adding all of the what? So draw your hint arrows. If you need to add up all of the interior angles, use this formula. N minus 2, subtract those first. Once you have an answer, then times by 180. Okay, well there's a variable in there, and the definition doesn't necessarily say what it stands for. Any guesses what N stands for? Side. Yes! Number of sides, and that's pretty universal. You'll see that in later math classes. N usually stands for the number of sides. You might want to write that in. Okay, you've got margin on the left side of this. Let's do a quick practice. If I give you a question, let's test your vocab too. Do you know how many sides a decagon has? Oh, okay, so what do all of the interior angles in a decagon add up to equal? No way, you gotta use the formula. Yeah, so figure out a decagon. Use the formula. That formula. It's gonna be 8 times 180, it's big. 1,440? Woo! So that's all of the angles added together. It'd be 1,440. So it's adding every single angle up in a 10-sided shape. Because the formula right here, you do 10 minus 2, 8 times 180. Great question. All right, let's do one more vocab check. Do you know how many sides a dodecagon has? How do you know this? Perfect. Do it. Figure out what do the angles add up to equal in a dodecagon. Do you know? 1,800? Okay. Perfect. Do you understand how to use that formula? Does that make sense? Okay. So the next formula, right here, again, draw a hint arrow. This is if you're looking for each interior. You only want the measure of one of those angles. Use this formula. Honestly, if you want to box this one up, use this one. It's friendlier when you come to backwards problems, and I'll show you one of the backwards problems I'm talking about. Okay, let's do the exact same thing. Can you tell me the measure of one angle in a regular decagon? Stop. Do you know what regular stands for? Do you remember? All sides. Okay, you do. All sides equal, all angles equal. So if all the angles are equal, can you figure out what one angle equals in a decagon? Use the formula. So grab your calculator. If it's a decagon, how many sides does it have? 10, right? So you would put a 10 here and a 10 here. So first part, what's 10 minus 2? 8 times 180, it's up there, right? All right, so 1440, but then don't forget to divide by what? 10. So each angle is, all right, so that's for a decagon. Do the same thing, figure out dodecagon. Just find one angle measure in a dodecagon. So again, we just use this formula, but instead of n, dodecagon has 12. Question. Oh, that's a great question. Did you hear this question? Wouldn't this 12 cancel out with this 12? What do you think? It's in parentheses. So you've got to do that first, order of operations. Okay, does somebody have a final answer on this one yet? Does it come out like 150? Nice. So 150. Thumbs up if you get how to apply those. I mostly want you to know what they're used for. Okay, let's see what's next. This one, first, what shape is it? Pentagon! Good work, write it in there. Fit it somewhere in there. Alright, this is a pentagon, so how many sides does it have? Alright, so it has 5 sides. So, if it has 5 sides, what should all of the interior angles add up to be? How are you going to figure it out? Look at one of the 2 formulas we just used. Do you want to use the sum formula or the each interior formula? We gotta use the sum. Because this one's not regular, they're not all the same, and we want to find them all added together. So the sum is the n minus 2 times 180, and I actually heard somebody over on the right side shout it out. So we've got 5 minus 2 times that by 180, which is just 3 times 180, right? What is it, guys? 540. Okay, so now that you know that all of those angles added up to equal 540 is, what's your plan of attack now to figure out x? Perfect. Caitlin, Abigail, you're saying the same thing. Start subtracting. Grab your calculators. 540 minus 90 minus 120 minus 56 minus 151. So subtract everything in the picture till x is isolated. All right, shout it out. What'd you get? 123. How many of you got that? Okay, put your pencils down and just watch. Just watch, just watch. I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time remembering formulas. I can't remember. So we have our reference sheet, which is fantastic. We can go to that if we can't remember the formula. This formula up on the board in orange, the very top one, n minus 2 times 180, not on your reference sheet. So can I show you a trick? This is how I figured out, because I never remember that. I always think it's that dang formula that I can't remember. That's as far as my brain goes. There's a way to figure this out. Because you already have background knowledge. There's a triangle. All the angles added up in a triangle equal what? 180. All the angles in 4-sided shape equals what? Okay, so you already know those. So technically, could you just split this into different shapes? Yeah? So this shape right here in blue, add all angles up, what does it equal? Okay, so that's 180. This shape in orange, add all those up, what do they equal? Okay, put those 2 together. Grab your calculator or your head. 180 plus 360, what does it equal? 540. Isn't that what we got? Do you get that? Does that make sense? So don't stress if you can't remember the formula because you have background knowledge to figure these ones out. Yeah? Yeah, you totally can. Any shape. Split up into triangles, split up into quadrilaterals, whatever works for you. Nod your heads. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. Let's do another one. Formulas. Copy down, then we'll talk about it. Okay, the first one, same thing. You know what? Let's underline stuff. Right here, underline sum and exterior, and then draw an arrow to the 360. How about sign face too? It's like the nicest thing ever. But it gets forgotten because it's so simple. What this is saying is if you take all of the exterior angles and you add them up, they always equal any polygon. Why? You just gotta think, like if an ant was walking along this shape, he would do a 360 turn. Like if I walk around the room, walk, 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 I'm facing the back. Now I'm facing the agendas. Now I'm facing the front. Now I'm facing the word wall. And I end facing this way. How many degrees did I turn? 360. That's the same. You just think of a little ant marching on the shape on the outside. March, 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 march. The ant will be facing the way you started. 360 degrees. Simple enough? Yeah? Turning in a circle. This next one, same thing. Let's underline. This one is if you need each exterior angle. And then circle this one. This one is so simple. Use this one. Since all the angles add up to equal 360, if you just want one of them, divide by how many sides are in there. So maybe remind yourself, n equals a number of sides. Yeah. I kind of prefer the exterior ones. They're pretty nice, pretty friendly. Okay, let's jump to those 2 examples in the middle. Okay, right here, look at letter A. Interior or exterior? Except for 1. Do you see the 1? There's the 90, right? However, but this one would have to be, right, let's write it in. So that exterior is 90 degrees. So if we're trying to find the value of x, which formula do we want to use? Do we want to use each interior for exterior, or excuse me, do we want to use each exterior, or do we want to do the sum of the exteriors? Yeah, let's add them all up. So sum of the exteriors, what should it always equal? 360 every single time. So we'll just start adding. We've got 2x minus 12 plus 32 plus 2x plus x plus 90 equals 360. Use your algebra still. What do you think about that? Ellie's question said, should we leave the 2x minus 12 in parentheses, or is it going to matter? What we're going to be doing, Ellie, is combining like terms, so it's okay if you don't do that. And plus we're adding and subtracting, so it'll come out. Okay, combining like terms, I'm going to put the x's together first. 2x plus 2x, 4x plus another x, 5 x's. Keep this though, Ellie, be careful, it's a negative 12, so people might forget that. But it's a negative 12 plus 32, 20. 20 plus 90, 110. Alright, so we combine like terms. Shout out, guys, what are you going to subtract first? Perfect. Subtract 110 from both sides. Oh, this comes out way nice. Hopefully you can do it in your head. So 5x is 250. Divide by 5 and what do we get? X right here is 50. How many of you got that before we did it on the board? Pretty nice. Okay, letter B. We've got this regular polygon. How do I know it's regular? And check. And do you remember when we talked about regular, you just gotta be careful that every single side has that symbol and every single angle has a symbol. Okay, so x, do we want to use the sum exterior or the each exterior? Let's use the each. So what is the each? I forgot. Oh, thanks, Alex. That's a super nice one, right? 360 divided by n. All right, how many sides does this shape have? So just do 360 divided by 6. So x would have to be x. Okay, is that the only way to figure that one out, do you think? There's other ways if you want to do it. You can figure out the interiors, use a linear pair. Okay, I think there's, and then I want to help you out with some others. Okay, number 1, interior formula or exterior formula? Okay, now you've got to decide which interior formula though. Do you want to use the sum interior or the each interior? Each interior? What is the each interior? Is it the, okay, perfect. Thanks, Ellie. So n minus 2 times 180 divided by n. Okay, what's n in this example? Yes, it's 5. So let's do 5 minus 2 times it by 180, and then we can't forget to divide by 5. Didn't we already do this? 5 minus 2 is 3. What was 3 times 180? Do you remember? I thought we did it on a previous example, right? So 540, but then don't forget to divide by 5. Is it 108? Yeah? Okay, how many got that? We good? Okay, last one, 4 now. Interior formula or exterior formula? Okay, they're exterior. Which one are you going to use, the sum or the each? The sum. All right, sum of exterior always adds up to equal what? Okay, go for it, go for it. Start showing your work. Get it organized. Okay, will you stop and check yourself? Do you agree with me so far? Nice, those ones canceled out. Did you see that? So then we'll subtract 180 from both sides. Divide by 6 on both sides, and what do we get? Yes. How many got that one? Perfect. Okay. Heads up, up, we're not going to do that big window example on the next page, but we're not quite done with your notes. Because what I'm hoping you can infer from the notes might be a little bit of too big of a stretch. So we're going to do some examples that are going to be like ones on your assignment that wasn't covered in the notes. So just find somewhere that you can write in your notebook. The margin, the bottom, there's tons of space on the sides. Okay, so the first example, okay, it says you are given the measure of each interior angle. What I'm hoping you do, when you read the directions, your brain's like, well, each interior formula, you're going to reference that. So each interior formula, find the value then. So first in your notebooks, go back and find the formula for each interior. Once you see it in the directions, go back and remind yourself what it is. Is that the big one? Okay, thank you. So this is the each interior formula. Okay, what this question is saying, because eyeballs up here, is you already know the answer. You know that after you use this formula, the answer is 108. You have to find n, but this is a sloppy formula. True, but where does that come from? You have to go backwards. So find somewhere in your notes where you can start showing your work for this one, because it's part of your assignment today and I want you to know how to do it. It's pure algebra. Okay, so copy down first, you got it? How do you get rid of a divide by n? Perfect, so that's your first step. What you're going to notice is it's the same for every single problem, so feel free to shortcut it once you get it. So now we have n minus 2 times 180 equals 108 n. You okay with that logic? Now what you need to do is get the 180 inside the parentheses. Do you know the math word for putting 180 inside the parentheses? Perfect, let's distribute that 180. So we've got to times it by everything inside. So that will leave us with 180n minus 360 equals 108n. You okay? I don't want to lose you. I'm going to keep writing this down. Kind of a big deal. Okay, what do you want to do next? Get the ends together. Sure. Subtract 180 from both sides. So we'll be left with negative 360 equals 108 minus 180. That's definitely a negative difference. Isn't the difference 72? Yeah. So negative 72n. Guys, what's the last step? You got this. Perfect. Thanks, Kayla. Don't forget the negative. Divide by negative 72 on both sides. And then you have n. Like Ellie said, 5, right? Previous problem had that answer. But definitely write that down because you've got to have those steps so you know how to do these backwards problems. This is what I was referencing earlier. Okay, I'm going to leave all that work up there, but I want you to try this one. Equal 108, it equals 150. Try it if it equals 150. See the repeats, you don't have to write it every time. So right here, let me erase this because the answer's not going to be 5. Over in the formula, the only thing I have to change is the 108. I'm going to change this to 150, this to 150, and then this to 150. So if you don't feel like writing that every single time, if you see the pattern, go for it. So this is 150, this is now 150n, this is still 150n. Alright, so we're going to subtract 180n from both sides. So we've got 360n, or excuse me, negative 360 equals, difference is 30, right? So negative 30n. Divide by negative 30. Guys, what did you get for a final answer? Let me see. Guys, how many of you got 12? Good. How many of you see the shortcut that I emphasized? You don't have to write that every single time. Do you agree with me? Okay, let me erase the. Find the sum of the measures of the exterior angles of the convex polygon. Stop. I'm hoping you read the question and your brain again is flashing sum exterior, sum exterior. So you go in your notes, find the formula for sum exterior. Always what? So for a pentagon, it's, for a nonagon, sum exterior, it's 360, right? 15 gone? 20 gone? They're all 360, do you get that? Yeah, that's 9 sides. Okay, so you okay with those ones? Don't be tricked by those questions. No. Because the formula is the sum of the exterior. You're thinking individual exterior. All of them together equals 360. Okay, last. You're given the measure of each exterior angle or regular. Find the value then. Again, read the directions and hopefully you can pull out which formula you need to use. So on this one, which formula do you need? Each exterior. Find it. Find the each exterior formula. Perfect. So this one is 360 divided by n. But same as this problem, only it's way nicer. We know the answer. We know it equals 72. Right? How do you get rid of divide by n? Times by n, so we'll have 360 equals 72n. Then divide by 72, grab your calculators and do it. Do 360 divided by 72. What is it? 5. Popular answer today. Okay, another shortcut. Can I show you a shortcut or did they confuse you? Going from here, can you just jump to here on the formula? Just know that you take 360 and divide it by whatever, yeah? Try number 20 real quick. What's the measure of each? If 45 is the measure of each exterior, how many sides does that shape have? 8. You okay with that one? Okay. Remember, read your directions and now identify which formula to use.